Hi there. Today's project is I want to make a track cleaner car. Now, I have this, which is considered one of the better ones around, CMX. It holds alcohol in the tank, and it does work well, but I wanted something that scraped the rails. Well, I don't like the word scrape. And I had one of these that I bought from somebody, and all they've done here is they've put some hardwood in, and I thought, well, you know, I had recently bought, or a while ago, this track cleaning kit from Woodland Scenics. And in it, they have different pads. So they have an abrasive pad like this that you're supposed to use when things are really tough. They have another pad like this you're supposed to use when it's not so bad. And I thought, maybe I could put one of these underneath and basically do the same thing they did here. Because what they did here is they took this masonite hardwood, put two nails through. The nails go through and you can't really see, but inside are some weights. So I picked up some fishing weights, and I'm going to dig around and find some nails. As I started to do this, I picked this guy out as my donor car. And it's just got plastic wheel sets and regular trucks on it. I noticed the first off is that these guys are too thick. So if I put him on the track, and this is the track that would give me the most trouble, it's Atlas Flex track, which I don't generally run, but you can see it just it doesn't fit, it's too thick. So I took the other pad that I have, this guy, and I cut it down, and now when I get this guy on the tracks properly, I can see that depending where it is, like right there, there's room, a little bit more room than pop off. So we'll go under there, lever, and that bolster pin actually fell where I could find it. How cool is that? Okay, so that's that one off, and that's up. Oh, well. So now what I found is this whole thing comes up like that. So now that I have that off, I have much more room to work with on the bottom here. And these, I'll have to shave the sides down just a little bit, and then they'll tuck up in the sides as well. And the way I'm doing this is I'm cutting the material off of this side and leaving this side as it is. And I'll do the nails in on either side there. Saw and a miter box in order to make the first cut to kind of get it where I need it to be. So, okay, I had another idea that I thought I'd show you, because if you're going to do this, this will be easier, is grab a straight edge, put it along the material where you want it. I just want to shave a little bit off. Grab your X-Acto knife, which was sitting right in front of me, and of course has moved on to greener pastures now that I need it for something. We'll use this one now. This blade's a little dull because I've been doing lots of stuff with it. And I'm just going to score through here. Oh yeah, it works much better. You can see I got a little bit off that side. Now, don't score too much, because you need it wide enough for the track still. Let's make sure it's wide enough for the track still, which it is, and it fits well inside the confines of this boxcar. Okay, so now that I've got that stuff off, This I've managed to cut down. Now when I cut this, I did some sanding and other stuff. I'm going to try a different way with this one. I have a who's it's here to hold it in. I'm going to hold it in there, and then I'm going to use this knife in order to cut through, because I found that cutting through this one with a knife worked quite well. I got to pull back. It kind of cut a piece off, but it's angling in. So we'll this and see if there's a way of carving freehand. Okay, that got some of it off, but I can see that I've missed some there, so grab our straight edge. We'll cut just a tiny bit off. That edge, refit it. And now those two fit quite well. Okay, so I got those two to fit. Once I get it down here, that one's a little bit higher than that one, but with the wheels on we're still okay, I'm assuming. Here, we'll grab a set of wheels and just double check. Oh yeah, we got tons of clearance there. So the next thing I have to do is find a couple of nails to hold in down there. So I'm off to do that. Okay, I bought these 1¼ inch nails. Not all that keen on the fact that they're ridged, but I didn't seem to have a lot of choice at the store. I just got to figure out how to open this package. Oh, there we go. That. That's what those guys look like. So the goal is going to be to drill a hole through here, countersink it a tiny bit, have a nail go through there, and another nail go through there, and then they'll go through the car body, and then I'll put a lead weight on the top within the car body. So, okay, we've got to make sure everything fits okay, so it doesn't matter exactly where these go, but I'm looking at putting them pretty close together. Thinking about there. Let's see if that will work. If that wheel's there at its maximum. Okay, that doesn't hit. And that doesn't hit. So, grab a piece of tape. We'll start with the white one here. Oh look, there's a center line, so I can put it just a little bit off the center line. Let's check wheel clearance again on this one. No problems there. There's a little bit of separation. Everything's in place. Now, what's the best way to drill through? I think just through on the bottom here. Grab this here. And with a Sharpie, because I can't find my pencil, I'm just gonna guess kind of center. Well, I can see where center line is. There. Okay. That's that one through. And that's that one through. So, those are the pilot holes. Now, I need to make a hole big enough for the actual nail. And we'll check 3/32. So you just hold the drill up and you look, and that's, I think, perfect. Second. That through. Now, the nail fits through just fine, as we saw, so they'll go through okay, but I have to have this head in there. So in order to do that, I'm going to take the drill again, and I'm going to look for a bit that's just the size of the head. Need to go back to my visor. I had my glasses on. So when I look at this, I can see that this bit is a tiny bit small. It's a 5/32. This one is a, that works better, 3/16. And just touch it in. Like, I need to go back to here now, take the tape off, and I'm going to do this by hand this way. So what I'm going to do, try and set stuff up so you can see it. I'm going to set the drill up like, really need to clean it like this, and then I'm just going to come in and that'll be okay. See how that fits. Oh yeah, that's good. Fit on both sides. Yep. Okay, so now what I'm doing is just seeing how these will fit, and I look and I see that the nails are too tall. They need to be cut off down, I gotta see where I'm measuring here, down to about here. And the battery switch later, and we're back to these weights. I just picked it up from a local Canadian tire store. They're fishing weights. These feel relatively nice. They're a nice weight, and I'll be able to push them down on top here, but they're going to come up. Now next up is I want to be able to smooth the ends a bit, and these seem to be somewhat hardened steel, so I'm going to get my Dremel out. There, let's see what that's like. Well, it's a bit better. Okay, so I went through with all of these guys, and I made a point on them, and I took off some of the ridges on them. Hopefully that'll let them slide up and down a little bit better. The next thing I'm going to do now is I want to glue these in. To glue them in, I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy. And so I need a stir stick. Here's a stir stick. And yeah, I'm just going to glue them in. It's not going to take much epoxy. So put a little blob on like that of part of it. This is the hardener. And then you get the rosin. And you put a similar blob on whatever you're mixing. You want them to be pretty much the same size. Those aren't, so I'm going to add a little bit more hardener to it. And I'm just doing it by eye. And then you mix it all together. So I got more here than I need, but that's okay. Now, you don't want to get this stuff anywhere you don't want it. So, where I want it is right in the hole, with a little bit around and so I'll put that down and just also put a tiny little bit around the nail, and then the nail goes in and we pull it. And in this case, there's some epoxy that came through the top, so I'll just smear that a little bit. I'll clean that up shortly. Now we'll do the inner epoxy. We'll give it 5 minutes. Looking good there. Now what I can do is, if you look here, you'll see that that's needs to be cleaned up a bit. So on this side, I'll just get a small file. So, clean it up. Been overnight. These guys have fully dried now. So what I'm going to do is just give them very light, and let's try putting them in the bottom here and see how those guys fit now that they've had the night. This one's just a little bit off center, so I know that it goes in like this. See, no problem there. And this one, I don't think it matters which way it goes in, so we'll just put it in like that. Now we'll put the trucks back on. So when I look at that, that seems to be running okay. And if I put the weights on, it's still running okay, but I can sure tell the difference. Those are heavy. Those may be too heavy. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my test layout, and it's running on DC right now. and I'm going to try a test. My first test is going to be without the weights at all, and then a test with the weights to see how well things can be pulled. Oh, the other thing I need to do is, once those are in, check whether this guy will fit or not, and I'll have to press them down a bit, but yeah, I'm thinking I may have to go to lighter weights, because that's just way too heavy right now. But we'll take a look and see. Okay, so here's a test with no weight on. And you can see it moves out pretty nice. So no problem with that. And then if I put my weights on, give it some power. I guess that's one way of cleaning the track, but it only cleans a really small part. So that shows that I need much less weight there. I'll go back and pick some and try and figure that out. All I'm going to do is put a little super glue in there. And I have some medium super glue. So I've crimped them on, but they don't crimp really all that well, so that should be just enough in there to hold it. Then the final piece will be to put this back on again, and doesn't matter where that goes, so we'll just pick that up, drop it in. There we go, one track cleaning car. So now I'm going to run that around a bit, see how it works. I plan to put it in with a couple of other track cleaning cars I have. And okay, that's what it currently looks like. Now I had my Tomix car in as well, which is a vacuum cleaner car on here, but it's quite heavy, and those guys are having a bit of problem with it, whereas like this, I got no problems whatsoever. It's running fine. Pulling those guys along. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try another section of track in the middle here. See what happens on my up and over. Okay, come off a turnout, across a 90-degree, through a series of other turnouts, and up a 4% incline. So if it's able to do that, we're fine. A little wheel spin there, so we don't want any more weight on it. And then it comes down over a section of track I know is a little iffy, but okay, so I'm going to run around and clean my truck for a while.